Welcome to another session of Nourish, Flourish Vida. If you're joining us for the first time, a very warm welcome to you where we deep dive and we go back to basics on food. Without much ado and wasting time, let's hit the ground running. Today I'm covering a topic that is a staple on our plates. It's as simple as that. But the question I need to ask you is, with that staple, you see this staple that I'm talking about, there are two categories. It's either you're in category A, you're in category B. Category A, refined carbs. Category B, complex carbs. The question is, which one are you having more of? And then secondly, the question is, has flour, the white flour as we know it, has grain, processed grain as we know it, is there a history behind it? Third, and not the least, is there a link between the carbohydrate we eat and the gut health? Today, is there a direct link between what we eat in carbohydrate, the energy we get, the carbs that we eat, and gut health? Gut health is not, is this a new fad that is trending? Or is this something that's always existed? And fourth, but not the final list, we will look at some of the alternative foods that you can start to eat or start to pivot to improve your gut health. So stay with me. Before we start, you see, today, our carbohydrate, which is literally nothing more than starch that gives us energy. That is what your body does. It provides your body with energy. It is starch and glucose. That's what your body literally, if we'll have to look for the chemistry words or the chemistry terms, carbohydrates are broken down into the body to give your body energy. And then it does this by converting the food that we eat, the carbs that we eat, converts it into simple carbohydrates and starch. But let me take a term that may be more appropriate, because on this channel we strip it down, we go down to the basic. See, everything I've looked at, our research have indicated, everything that is referred to as refined carbohydrates are all things that are made out of processed flour. And when I say processed flour, we're talking about processed white flour. Everything that is made out of processed white flour. So stick with me, bear with me 1 second. I'll read out the list. And the common refined carb list, this is what my Google. Can you see this? Yeah, I will actually pull this up. But let me read that. Google Latin says common refined carb list. Refined grain, flour products, your white bread, white pasta, white rice, bagels, crackers, flour tortillas, noodles, pretzels, pita bread. From the baked goods and sweets, you have the cakes, you have the cookies, the pastries, the donuts, the muffin, the croissants. On your breakfast food side, you have your sugary cereal, you have your toaster pastries, you have your waffles. On the snacks, we have our potato chips for those that live in the States. Otherwise, if you live in Europe, it's your crisp, your pretzels, your crackers. Of course, you have your sugary drinks, your sodas, your sweetened teas, your energy drinks, and most fruit juices or smoothies. Now, if you live in Africa, the soda here is actually your minerals, your mineral drinks. Of course, you will always have the added sugars and syrup. So your table sugar, your high fructose corn syrup, your maple syrup, and of course the honey. But on this particular category, unless a couple of them are not all bad. For me, I have raw honey. If you're getting the raw filtered, not raw, not heated, not processed, just raw filtered honey, it has its benefit. Now, it's interesting because everything that I've read on this group A list, the refined carb, which the medical terms call it refined carbohydrate, are all are basically what I would alternatively term as a man-made starch. I've called it man-made starch because these all have their foundation from processed flour. It starts off from processed flour, of course, with the exception of the added sugar. But alternatively, it starts from processed sugar. So I would refer to anything that the medical team called the man-made, the refined carbohydrate. In the interest of this content and this particular topic, and today, we're going to call it man-made starch. And everything that the medical world calls that are good, the good carbs, the complex carbs, let's call that natural food. You see, white flour today has has become so much of a staple. It's seeped into everything that we eat. For most people, when they eat carbs, it's nothing more than everything from this refined carb list or from this category. But the problem with that is you are satisfying your cravings of your tongue. You're satisfying the cravings of the mind, but you're not feeding your body with the nutrients it needs. Your body is not being, it has very little or no nutrients because your body needs three things from anything we put in our mouth. It's looking to do one of the three things. It's looking to repair, it's looking to rebuild, and it's looking to replenish. That is all your body is trying to do with whatever food you've given it. This is why medically there's a lot of encouragement to pivot to foods that are that have high nutrition, because when you eat those, all your body is trying to do is to do repair, rebuild, replenish. And if your body is not able to extract nutrients to do one of these three things, then unfortunately your body, the food you've just eaten, is making zilch. It's doing zilch in your body as far as the body. See, but what you need to always understand is we are in a war. The war is the constant war between the cravings and what is really what our body needs. And once read donkey years ago, and I mean, I can stand corrected. So if you're a psychologist, I would love to hear you and I'd love to correct me. I once read something about the war between the mind and the head. The example used to depict the mind and the head, which is your brain, the thinking part that knows what is the right thing, is that I was told the mind is your elephant and the brain is a car. And the analogy, the example there states that always the elephant will pull the car. So even though we know what is the right thing, we all have cravings. Let's keep it real. We all have days that we wake up, we go, I would love to have some jollof rice. Today I'm craving this. We all have cravings. It's part and parcel of the world. But the main issue is not having the cravings. It's not the one of cravings. It becomes a problem when the only category of food that you eat is nothing but the man-made starch. That becomes the pain. That is where the problem is. Because those food don't, yes, you satisfy your cravings of your mouth. You satisfy it. You starve your body of the necessary nutrients it needs to do the function it does. The human body is the most complex body. As far as I'm concerned, it's the most patient body. And yet it's one aspect, it's one complex system that's prevalent. It can endure for donkey years. But when it breaks down, I don't think this is where the body starts to present with different health issues. Another point, it's better to, this is where I would love that saying, prevention is better than cure. See, flour as we know it today, the man-made starch has such a passion. But if you fall into the category of people that actually make your own product, you make your own flour, you've grounded a wholemeal flour, your grains are fully grounded, you're not relying, I say kudos, then maybe this video, skip this aspect of the video. But if you're just like the most of us or the average people that rely on get white flour, see what you need to understand. Let's take a couple of steps. Let's look at the timeline of flour. Flour or grains. Let me go back to grains, which is the base product. And when I'm talking about grains, I'm talking about rye, I'm talking about wheat, I'm talking about oat. Those three are what we really need. See, from time immemorial, over 4,000 years ago, the over 4,000 years ago, it was always whole grain. They ate whole grain. They processed whole grain. That's what my research alludes to. Up until about 150 years ago in Hungary, when Hungary was the first European country that processed, they began the process. They created the rollers that began to crush this whole grains, converting it from whole grain into a powdered wholemeal flour. Now, by the time we proceed to the Viennese rolls, when they took over, the Viennese bakers, they refined that even more to get the Viennese roll. And of course, by the time we're talking about 1888, round about that time, when it got into the United States, Minnesota wheat industry were the ones that refined it even further to arrive at the white flour that we have today. So we started 4,000 years ago. Our ancient forefathers had whole grain that offered, because the outer coating of the grain had the essential minerals the body required. It had the biotin, it had the riboflavin. Those are the key things your body needed. But what has happened has proceeded from 4,000 years ago to 150 years ago. By 1888, we had arrived at white flour, which unfortunately tastes great in the mouth when you mix it with sugar and everything, but offers very little nutrition to inside your body, leading to most people consume, when they talk about carbs, they find themselves in the refined group. Now, the big question, which is linked to the trending topic, gut health. Is there really a link between carbohydrates and gut health? I say there is. There is a massive link. You see, when you then pivot from the man-made starch to the natural starch, and let me explain by what I mean by natural. So I'm natural. And I've had to comb through this video. I'm making it in my kitchen. So I've had to pull through as much man-made, as much natural starch that I can show you people. Personally, I lean more towards natural because I'm not sweet tooth. But bear with me. When we say natural, we're talking about different food items. I'm going to raise it up. Mango. Yes. Black-eyed beans. Gunga peas. I'm going to introduce you. Kamut. Some people have never seen ancient grain. This is an ancient grain. Ancient grain. Let's look at some of the examples. So on this side, we have the kamut. These are ancient grains. We have our sticky rice. Now, I know rice have had a lot of bashing, but I can tell you this, if you go to the Japanese and the South Korean are the longest living people, they've been eating rice. So rice is not the problem. Here we have some corn couscous, some red lentil beans, some chickpeas, some quinoa, gunga beans, some green plantain. I decided to share and show my viewers. I wanted to show what natural, when we say natural grain, and there are many, many, many more natural grain, your green leafy vegetables. You see, these are all the categories of different foods. Now, the question that most people, that's the information that is not heavily pronounced out there, making it seem that gut health is a new fad that is trending. No, it's not. You see, for a lot of the food that I've just shown you, they're all there to improve your gut. What do we mean by gut health? Like I said earlier on, your gut is nothing more than your large intestine. Now, the large intestine is the colon. Colon needs the fiber. When you consume whole or natural food, natural starch, things that I've just shown you, what you're doing by consuming those, you are increasing the dietary fiber, the fiber content in the food, which goes in to play a very big role in your large intestine. Your large intestine needs as much help. It needs fiber to function. When you are not eating foods that are dense and rich in fiber, then your gut health or your colon will struggle. The World Cancer Research Fund made a suggestion that in order to reduce the risk of colorectal cancer, which is bowel cancer, they recommend that you consume at least 90 grams of whole grains. or what I call 90 grams of natural food. Now, it's hard to equate 90 grams, but let me shock you guys. I did measure out my beans to show people what 90 grams of, this is all that is required. 90 grams. Let's take a closer look. This is 90 grams. 90 grams. I think, in all honesty, this is not even up to 1 cup of rice for most people. Let's keep it real here. For most people, your favorite food, this is not up to 1 cup. This is not even up to one full, what do you call it? It's not even up to one fast food takeaway meal. And all they recommend is this amount consistently taken every day. You provide your body with the chances of, you reduce the risk of colorectal cancer. I think it's doable. Now, the question is, now that you know there is a risk that carbohydrate is not the enemy. Where most people are in the group A, the man-made starch. But what you need to do to improve your gut health is to start the pivoting from man-made starch, aka refined carbohydrate, and work your way back to natural starch. Because when you consume something that is a natural starch, by default, the fiber content in that food is deemed to be high. That is what your colon actually needs to function. So if you've been eating let's start with the very basic. If you love your flour products, then switch. If you're a baker or aspiring baker or home baker, if you love your pancake, let me introduce you to an Asian grain. If you cannot get your whole meal flour, try this Kamut. This is an Asian grain from the Persian region. It has 40% more protein, and it's very nutritionally much more higher. It has 40% more protein than ordinary wheat flour. But there are thousands and different ways. Let's look at what you can replace it with. I don't like brown rice, and this channel is real. I know they say white rice, but I'd rather have white rice and increase my side dishes or my vegetables. You can make vegetables and increase it. Brussels of quick vegetable sauce. On this channel, I'll start to show people what you can dibble and dabble without denting heavily your pocket, because it's doable. Lentil. You could make your lentil soup. Beans. I've only shown you one aspect of beans, but there are multiple types of beans out there in the market. It's just by the very nature. You've got the black-eyed beans, you've got black beans, there are 1,001. You've got the gungo beans that I've shown you. Quinoa. I love quinoa. Sometimes I just play around. If it's not rice, I'm having quinoa. If it's not quinoa, I'll have the couscous. Try something. And if it's chickpeas, I will make chickpeas. Sometimes I just make the chickpeas, steam cooked chickpeas, make chickpeas curry. But have something, because to be honest, let's keep it real. It is possible that you can just have 90 grams of this every day, which will make a hell of a difference. You provide your body that. You start gradually. Because the truth is, I read something, and I have to agree with it. Your cravings are something out of the mind. It is your cravings that lead most of us down to weight gain and finally to obesity. It is not hunger. Hunger never makes people fat. Hunger never makes you fat, but it's your cravings. It's the cravings that are the main issue. When you start to pivot slowly, you can make your way back. I hope you find, as always, I hope this session has been beneficial to you. And like we always say on this channel, that Nourish, Flourish, Vida, we deep dive, we give you the information, and we hope that you can be able to apply it to your everyday living. Until next time, keep living well, keep flourishing, and have a blessed day. Take care.